Howdy folks, long time no see. We got a project here. You did miss out on a few since the last video of plowing with this thing. We had to cut plowing short that day because I started having some issues with it and I narrowed it down. It's a good possibility those issues came from a bad injector on cylinder number 4. Now, I already pulled cylinder number 4's injector and looked at it. It's kind of rough. And it looks like it plugged up from what I can tell without putting it on a tester. Anyway, that's what we're up to. I'm going to bring it in here, show you what's going on. I've already got 2 injectors in to make sure this process was going to go smooth. I have 2 left to go that I'll bring you along for. Alrighty folks, I know you're all probably sick of hearing this story. If you got me on Instagram, just search Bill the Tractor Man, you'd see that the projects I've been up to. So it really sucks trying to do this stuff on camera because kind of no matter what, there's stuff in the way here. And then gotta get that going the right way. Anyway, we run into the problem of there's no really good place to put the camera to get this on film of me getting these out. It's 2 bolts after you disconnect all the lines in here, which is really simple. There's just bolts that go in the top of each injector. You take those out, you take the line out. There is flare fitting back here that you got to take out. Then you disconnect the lines to the injector. Then you're pretty much ready to take the injector out, which is what I've been working on here. Hopefully the sound of the heater in the background isn't too overwhelming for the camera right now. Alright, I got my 2 bolts out. What'd I do with my rag? It's over here, I gotta reach around you guys. Your hands are gonna get plenty dirty. You wanna keep wiping this oil off. You don't wanna let it sit on your hands too long. This diesel oil, it'll stain. Okay, where's my wrench for, okay. Here we go. I'm gonna wait till I'm putting everything together before I tighten down and put the lines on for the injectors. I'm just gonna leave them unhooked for now. And here's the next step of the process. That is, get that out of the way. You gotta get in here and you just gotta give it a nudge to get it to come off of its seat. Not much. See, there, it's, I don't know if you can see that, but it's just coming off of its seat right there. That, and there's a piece of rubber right here that it helps keep the oil in the head for the valves instead of flowing out the side. Here we go. Out comes the dirty injector. So here we have the injector in the bench here. Keep in mind, some of these injectors are different than others. This injector, you don't, it seems like at this point you don't have to relieve the spring inside the injector to do this. My understanding is most injectors you do, and then you have to be able to bench press it to set your pressure. This one, I think I'm getting away without doing that. Might not be the right way. Anyway, so just be aware that no matter the injector, you do want to be careful when you're loosening this up. Another little tidbit, most guys will say to disassemble this and assemble it inside of diesel fuel. That way you don't have any contamination issues. This is the old injector here. I took a picture of it. It's got a lot of carbon buildup. It's very dirty and it doesn't look good. The tip looks kind of rough. I'll show you a new one here in a moment. Before you make sure you have your new injector ready, and try to keep that covered at all times, or have it just ready so that it's ready to go in as soon as you get this one off. Here, let's see. Here's the new one, nice and shiny new. The little holes you can see, they don't look plugged up at all, they look nice. Okay, so you want to be careful so that if there's spring pressure you don't lose your stuff. Okay, so we had a little camera issue there. What you want to do is, the new injectors right here, you want to make sure it stays clean, that this area stays clean. You want to dab off any dirt or debris that got on there from loosening the old one up. There's 2 pins and 2 holes. I don't know if you can see that in here, but there's 2 pins and 2 holes. And you got to line those up so it sits just right on there. Then you take your cap that you just took off with your copper washer and you carefully put that on. You want to make sure that you don't damage or get the tip of the new injector dirty. You want to keep that clean. Otherwise, if you're worried that you won't be able to keep it clean, you're going to want to make sure that you do this in a bowl of diesel fuel so that it never comes in contact with the air until it's completely reassembled. And then of course you'll have to take it out of the diesel fuel to tighten everything up. So there we go. Then we made sure that that was in the right place, and now we're going to tighten it back in to about how it was before. These are fairly snug. You don't want to crank them too hard, but you want to give them a nice solid Polish grunt. Like that. I hope you heard my obnoxious grunt for example's sake. Double check that. Double check everything, because you don't want to have to pull this all apart again. Alrighty, I'm going to try and point this out here. This is that rubber piece that I put the Permatex on. You can see another one right about here, if it'll focus. That one's already in. That's the last one I tightened up. Now I'm going to be doing this one. You got to use a little force to get this rubber piece in here with the Permatex. And then you got to get your injector kind of down there. Make sure that's lined up. And then you evenly go back and forth and tighten up those bolts. So those bolts I just mentioned, those are the 2 bolts for the injector. And you're going to want to carefully set them back in there and make sure they're going to the right spot so they line up with the hole on the block, and then, or the head. And you want to get them started with your fingers, not a wrench. Make sure they're going down and they're going to tighten up. Let's see. Alright. You'll have to use the bolts to carefully make sure the injector goes down the hole again. Just go ever so lightly on the one side to get it low enough that you can tighten up that other bolt to get your socket back down there to tighten up the other one. Now that one's just snug, so we're going to have to get a finger in here and tighten up this other bolt so we can get the socket on it. And trust me, it's not the nicest thing to have to try and sneak around and do in here, because there ain't a whole lot of room. Maybe we can get the socket on here now. Yep, just barely. Alright, you carefully want to tighten that down a little bit so it's snug. Then you come back to the other side and you get this one snug. And then you come back and you get this one snug. It's slipping on me. Doesn't want to cooperate. Alright, so we're back in here and I just got these tightened up. They're a little tough. You want to make sure that when you're done tightening these up, that that rubber piece is still in where it belongs, which it is. And then you should be good to go. This one should be nice and torqued down. You just want to go like one Polish grunt tight with it. Then you're on to the next one. Alrighty folks, just to give you a heads up where we're at. This is the return line that runs back to the tank after whatever excess fuel doesn't get used by the injectors. There's 4 bolts here with a groove cut in them. Don't over tighten them, but make sure they're good and snug so they won't leak. Over here is that little compression fitting. You gotta be really careful with that little brass fitting. Just get her tight, snug. That's it, so she seals up. Alrighty folks, as you can see, it's kind of hazy and not so pretty in the garage right now. We did get it back together. The camera battery died. I had to wait for it to charge up a bit so I could give you a finishing segment here. It's pretty simple. I think I gave you quite a bit of information there. If you need anything more, drop a comment below. I'll give you as many answers as I can. It started up a little hesitant. I think it had to get some fuel through it, but it did fire up. It is doing good. It's firing on all cylinders. It's running quite a bit better, actually, it seems. So, not a whole lot else information. I'm going to try and remember to drop part numbers down below so you can do this yourself on your own Fordson Major. This is a 57, but I think it's 54 to 1952 or 1954 to 57. This should be about the same. Maybe the Super Major and Power Majors are about the same. But anyways, running pretty good now. Thanks for watching. Please comment, rate, and subscribe.